You know what's weird? It's the weirdest thing on the internet right now. Watching grown adults ask permission from strangers to make art or write a book. Not feedback, not editing advice, not does this make sense. Actual permission. Hey, Twitter, am I allowed to write this? Would people find this offensive? Is this too dark? Can I write a character like this? Am I allowed to explore these themes? And every single time I see it, I feel like I'm watching someone slowly handcuff their own creativity in real time. Because here's the thing. If you need approval of thousands of random strangers on the internet before you even create something, your art is already dead. And I know that sounds harsh, but genuinely, what are we even doing anymore? Because somewhere along the line, creativity stopped being I have something to say and became please don't be mad at me for saying it, and those are not the same thing. And since this is the point where most people click off my videos, I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe. I'm Darth James, and you can support this channel with membership and Patreon options. Hi. Now, obviously, before someone in the comments starts foaming at the mouth like a Victorian child seeing modern medicine for the first time, I'm not talking about intentionally hurting people. I'm not saying criticism shouldn't exist. Hell, that's my entire brand. You've seen my videos. Not saying every single piece of art is automatically genius because someone made it at 2 o'clock in the morning while listening to sad music and drinking too much Monster Energy. Some things are stupid. Some things are badly written. Some things definitely deserve criticism. But criticism after the work exists is fine, normal, healthy even. What scares me is this cultural pre-approval. This weird creative HR department the internet has become. People are terrified to even try something unless they get the green light from strangers first. And the problem with that is simple. The crowd will always choose safe. Simple. Safe gets likes. Safe survives. Safe gets applause. Safe offends nobody, and safe is always, usually, forgettable. Think about literally any piece of art people still talk about decades later. Books, movies, films, paintings. Half of them upset someone, sometimes a lot of people. That doesn't automatically make them good, obviously, but art has never been built by committee. Collectivism is extremely dangerous. Can you imagine if every creative person in history acted like modern Twitter writers? Hey guys, I'm just checking before I write this morally complex character. They just made the thing, and the audience decide whether they connect with it or not. That's how it's supposed to work. That's it. That's all creatives are meant to do. And honestly, I think part of this comes from the writing community online. There is a good section of it that's deeply unhealthy. Again, not everybody, but enough people that you can feel it. There's this constant atmosphere of fear. Everybody is terrified of being screenshotted, terrified of being called problematic, terrified of saying the wrong thing, terrified that a badly worded tweet from 2013 will get it be treated like a federal crime. So what happens? Writers start trying to defend their books before they even exist. They start apologizing before anyone has complaints. And after a while, you can literally feel the insecurity bleeding into the work itself. Because when you write scared, the audience can tell. I can tell. And can we talk about the performance of confidence online for a second? Because this has always been funny to me. The same people posting constantly, protect your peace, know your worth, be fearless, boss babe energy guys, are also having complete emotional collapse because somebody on Goodreads gave them 3 stars. 3 stars. That's not a bad rating. That's basically, yeah, it was alright. And suddenly they're acting like the village has exiled you into the woods. Writers will post, I'm devastated. I don't know if I can continue. Meanwhile, some construction worker named Dave got shouted at as he was pouring concrete in the rain in the wrong place and still has to come back to work tomorrow at 6 a.m. Perspective, people, please. And look, I understand why people do this. The internet punishes failure publicly now. Years ago, if you wrote something bad, maybe your friends saw it, maybe a small audience saw it. Now everything is immediate, everything is performative, everything is public. You don't just fail quietly anymore, you fail with quote tweets. Which is honestly one of the reasons I think so many creatives are becoming creatively paralysed. They're not making art anymore. They're trying to avoid backlash, and those two things are completely different goals. But here's the reality nobody wants to say out loud. If you create anything remotely interesting, someone will hate it. Someone will find it problematic. Someone will tell you it's this and it's that. That is normal. In fact, if absolutely nobody dislikes your work, there's a decent chance you made something completely emotionally sterile. Not always, but often, because strong creative choices create strong reactions. You cannot make something sharp enough to matter without somebody eventually cutting themselves on it. That's part of the deal. And this applies to everything, by the way. Writers, filmmakers, photographers, graphics designers, musicians, painters. Stop asking permission. Seriously. Because the internet will never give you enough permission anyway. You can gather, you could literally gather 50,000 people telling you this is acceptable, and the second the things release, somebody will still be offended. So if outrage is inevitable anyway, you might as well make the thing you actually wanted to make in the first place. And also, this is important. People not liking your art does not mean you're morally corrupt. I think some creatives have genuinely forgotten this. Somebody saying this book wasn't for me is not opposition. It's not oppression. A bad review is not violence. Somebody being offended by your fiction does not mean you need to crawl into the internet and perform a public apology ritual with a ukulele while the content goblins gather around the campfire demanding accountability notes written in Canva font. You made a thing. Some people liked it, some people didn't. That's art. That's the entire history of art. And honestly, I miss it when creators were a little bit arrogant. Not cruel, not egotistical, but confident enough to stand by their work. Now everybody speaks like a hostage negotiation. I just want to clarify before release that this book will never be intended to, oh my god, just release your goddamn fucking book. Please, I'm begging you. Because the truth is, a lot of the greatest creative work comes from people who were willing to look ridiculous, who were willing to fail publicly, who were willing to upset people, who were willing to be misunderstood. That's the risk. And I think somewhere along the line we accidentally taught creative people, young creative people, that safety matters more than honesty. Which sounds nice until you realise that honesty is usually the place where good art lives anyway. And before somebody twists this into, so you think creatives should not listen to criticism? No, criticism matters. But criticism should sharpen your voice, not erase it. That's the difference. Because if every creative decision has to survive the internet counselor first, eventually all art will start sounding the same and looking the same. And honestly, I think we're already seeing that happen. Same dialogue, same approved opinions, same safe characters, same TikTokification writing advice repeated endlessly by people who haven't written anything outside of threads and aesthetic posts. Everybody's terrified of being the wolf, so everybody becomes the sheep instead. And yeah, that sentence sounded like it came from a divorced gym motivational podcast host. But you get the point. Make weird things, make flawed things, Make things people disagree with. Make things that are messy and human. Stop asking strangers if you're allowed to create, because nobody can actually give you that permission anyway. That permission comes from you, and if somebody's offended, fine. They'll survive. The world will continue spinning. But at least you made something real instead of spending 6 months asking Twitter if your fictional side character is problematic because he drinks orange juice incorrectly, or whatever discourse we're pretending matters this week. And honestly, I think the internet desperately needs more artists who will stop apologizing and just create the thing. I'm Dove James. That was this episode. Tell me what you think in the comments below, because that's important. And if you want to support this weird corner of the internet, check out my Substack. Check out Patreon. Check out my channel memberships. We have a podcast and early access. And I'm going to leave one more little bit of advice. And I'm going to say this. Sometimes it's good to offend people. Sometimes you need to, because it makes other people think. And that's a rare quality on the internet.